Oh, what's up, everybody, and welcome to a episode of the DFU. I know this is weird, a DFU where there's only one person. Well, we are doing some filling in today because YouTube didn't like some content that we were going to be releasing. Maybe we'll talk about that at a little bit of a later date. So kind of had to pull a quick one here, and yeah. So we'll see how much you guys like this, but you know, I'm Chris, and welcome to my TED Talk. I'm just joking. So yeah, this is going to be kind of a little bit of a lecture series, if you will. If it even becomes a series, you guys might absolutely hate this. You guys might love this. We'll find out. But one of the cries that I've heard a couple times that, you know, it seems like a lot of our Final Fantasy content has went away, and since, you know, it's just me, figured why not? So today's lecture, we are going to talk about Final Fantasy 16 and what we know and what's about to happen, because for those of you who aren't keeping up with the news and just kind of waiting to see when it's going to come out, Yoshi P has officially come out and said that the demo is done, has been done. There's a little bit of delay in putting it out, so we should see that anywhere between now to June 21st, and he wants a very little a very small amount of time between when this trailer releases and when the game releases, which is great for us, obviously, because that means that we potentially should be getting the game this year. But we'll see what happens. Square Enix has broken some promises before, and that's okay. So, you know, we all still love them and move forward. So, anyways, Final Fantasy 16. Obviously, I've talked about this multiple times. I'm super pumped, super excited for this game. Cannot wait for it to come out. Cannot wait for it to come out. But let's go ahead and dive into what we know about the game so far. And then we'll also talk about what my theory of some things that are going to happen are. And yeah, we'll see where this goes. But anyway, so Final Fantasy 16, as most of you know, is being directed by Yoshi P. Yoshi P is the main guy for Final Fantasy 14. Whenever a lot of people who are getting into Final Fantasy 14 and are like, oh my god, this game's so amazing, I love it, they have Yoshi P to thank for that. It was known as one of the worst disasters ever in video game history. Yoshi P got a hold of it, and now it is one of the top competing MMO games out there. It's kind of nuts, honestly. So super excited to see what he's going to do with a non-MMO game. But he has been very open about the fact that he wants to take Final Fantasy back to its medievalish type roots, which is great for me. I love that era. I've pointed that out multiple times. You guys know that. So with it going back to its roots, Final Fantasy 16 definitely hits in that stride. Great. Super excited for that part. I mean, I kind of play back and forth, especially when it comes to Final Fantasy, because you have aspects where it's like 7, for instance. There's a lot of like cars and, you know, motorcycles and planes and blah, 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 blah. I mean, hell, I talk about I hate space. Sid literally goes to fucking space in the original. You know what I mean? Like, it happened. Well, even in the remake, fucking Cloud and Sephiroth are on that random fucking planet out of nowhere. Anyways, digress. So yeah, so we're getting back to medieval basics. I'm super excited about that. And just the tone and feel, if you haven't watched the trailer yet, go watch the trailer. The new one should hopefully be out soon. I'm hoping we're not waiting all the way until June, but then again, June is also right around the corner, so we'll see what happens. But June 21st is that cutoff period. We should be getting it in between here and there. But yeah, so we have, going back to that, like I said, the medieval era. A lot of people have speculated what the tone of the game is going to be like, and there's been some teasing stuff. A lot of the tone has been centered around, or rumors about the tone has been centered around like a kind of like a Game of Thrones ish, where like the houses are all getting together, some people are teaming up with some aren't, and just like a little bit of back and forth. So that's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. We'll have to, you know, see. Once again, it's some of the speculation there, but like I said, we do actually have stuff here that we can kind of go into. And the first being, honestly, is the world. The world looks gorgeous. I don't know if you guys have seen the map yet or not. I wish I could just share it with you. Unfortunately, I'm a tad bit unprepared for this episode, and that's okay. Bear along with me, but Valencia is the land that they're going to be creating for us here, and it's known as the Mother Crystals, and so are the land of the Mother Crystals. What is awesome to me about this, and Honestly, every time I watch a trailer, I just get chills down my spine when I see this one specific part. Whenever they're doing the end, close to the end of the trailer, and the music starts kicking in, and they do like a little bit of a scene, and then they do words on the screen, and a little bit of the scene, and then words on the screen. One of them says, "The legacy of the crystals has shaped our world for long enough." That is awesome, and here's why. One, that goes on so many different levels because every Final Fantasy has something to do with crystal related something. Every single Final Fantasy. So, is this an actual saying that, like, after this one, we're done with crystals? Like, 16 games, and now we're finally like, now it's not. I doubt it. I honestly doubt it. I'm sure it's just more game related. But from what we've been able to find out about this game so far, is that in the map, they've got all these different territories, and these territories are basically I guess dependent's a good word, dependent on these crystals that are basically, like, from what it sounds like in the trailer, helping stave off disease and pestilence and blight and all that other fun stuff. Well, not really fun, but still. And so it's giving them power, maybe their energy source. I don't know if we're gonna hit on a stride like 7 with Mako energy and shit, but there could be an aspect of where, like, these crystals play a very deep role in that. And so something that was, I believe, rumored. I'm pretty sure this part was rumored. I could be wrong. Was that this, with the maps the way they are, how it was made, was like it was a dragon that died, and like these crystals were like pieces of the dragon's body a long time ago. Once again, I think that was rumored. I've taken in so much information about this game, rumored, non-rumored. It's been crazy, but yeah. So yeah, because they say things like the Drake's tail in here. Drake. Well, that says Drake's breath, so obviously maybe they're just naming it Drake's fang. Blah 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 blah. Anyways, not the point. So back on track. Sorry. That being said, we've got the map where it's going to be, like I said, ruled kind of like by houses. So we got the Grand Duchy of Rosaria. We got the Holy Empire. We've got the Kingdom of Waylode. We've got the Dalmakian Republic, the Iron Kingdom, and the Crystalline Dominion. So, from what I've been able to see just from here, and a lot of this information they have redacted, mainly just the dominant of their faction, which some of this you can kind of guess just by looking at it. Some of it, is a little, like, for instance, the Crystalline Dominion. I don't think, since they have all of them, all the house banners in there, I think that doesn't have necessarily one, but I could be wrong. I mean, we could see fucking Knights of the Round Table would be dope. I doubt it, but yeah. So we know with Rosaria we've got the Phoenix, obviously just based off the banners. I'm guessing that the Holy Empire is Shiva. Waylode is definitely 100% Odin, and if it's not Odin, then it's just his horse, because that's what their banner is his six-legged steed. So 100%, and I believe that's his lance in the fucking shield there on the horse, but I could be wrong. Once again, it would have been great if I would have had this up for you guys. Sorry, please forgive me. If you're wanting to see what I'm looking at, go to FinalFantasy16.com, and then you can click on World, and you can scroll down. You'll see all the different maps there, so you can pause me right quick, go check that out, and let's look at this together. But anyways, so yeah, with Dalmekian, it's very easy to see that it's Titan, and then the Iron Kingdom. So this is what really excites me about this game, is the Iron Kingdom. The Iron Kingdom is this island that's very close to where we're going to be starting, because the game's going to start in Rosaria. It's got to. That's where the Phoenix is. We know for a fact Joshua, who is Clive's little brother, Clive being the main character, the person we're going to play, we know that he is the Phoenix. Clive wanted to be the Phoenix. The power didn't get passed to him. It actually got passed down to his younger brother from their father. So what a dominant is, for those of you who aren't Final Fantasy fans and are kind of interested in possibly jumping in on this one, a dominant is, and this isn't in every Final Fantasy, this is kind of new-ish, since 14 really. A dominant is someone who can harness the power of what we call the aeons, or the summons. It's been called multiple different names, but the aeons is how I grew up knowing them. And so, for instance, a very well known one is Shiva. We've talked about Shiva, right? So, the Aeon Shiva, a dominant is someone who is just a normal person who has the power of Shiva in them and can transform into her and use her powers. So that's what a dominant is. So what's interesting is that with the Iron Kingdom, they have found a way to stay relevant without the use of dominance. They believe that dominants are abominations and will execute them on sight. It's fucking nuts, which makes me think that that's where Ifrit comes from. But we'll get there. Anyways, so back it up a little bit. So yeah, that's why I'm super excited about the Iron Kingdom. The Dhalmekian Republic. It sounds like they kind of helped, win a war, or kind of helped Rosaria potentially win a war, or held back some. I don't know. I don't know where these conversations are taking place, and without knowing who Clive and Joshua's father actually is, it's kind of hard to figure out. And once again, I don't know when these conversations are taking place as well. That's the hard part. So a lot of this is speculation, but taking that out, let's go ahead and jump into some of the characters. So we've got Clive, which is, dude, he looks so fucking cool. I love Clive. But we have Clive, who is the older brother of the Rosaria place, the duchy. And he is basically the son of the Archduke of Rosaria. He wanted, like I said, he wanted to be the Phoenix. He didn't get it. Joshua did. So now he has to bear that burden in this. And basically, Clive dedicated his life to picking up the sword so that way he would be able to defend his brother. And basically, he even calls himself Joshua's shield. So from what I've seen and read, there's some kind of shield of Rosaria, or first shield of Rosaria. So I'm guessing that's kind of like I think it's a tournament. Yeah. I think it will be nice if I just pull it up. But I think there's a tournament that happens. Yeah, he wins the tournament and is dubbed the First Shield of Rosaria, tasked to guard the Phoenix and blessed with the ability to wield part of its fire. Alas, Clive's promising career is to end in tragedy at the hands of a mysterious dark icon. They call them icons in this game. Aeons, we call them icons in this game. Ifrit, setting him on a dangerous road to revenge. So that's Clive's little story. Like I said, he was supposed to take on the Phoenix Power. He didn't get it. I love Clive's younger look. He looks really badass, really, really cool. Not that I don't like his older look, but I definitely like his younger look a lot more than his older look. But I'm excited to see what all the characters are going to look like throughout the game. So we got Joshua, the second son of the Archduke of Rosaria, and Clive's younger brother by 5 years. Joshua woke up as a dominant of the Phoenix soon after his birth. Despite his noble upbringing, Joshua treats all his father's subjects with warmth and affection, none more than Clive, whom he deeply admires. Joshua often thinks that if he were the frail, bookish younger son who was granted the command of the Firebird's flames, and not his stronger, brave brother. While Clive will gladly throw himself into any danger, Joshua quells at the sight of a carrot on his dinner plate. But carrots become the least of his concern when he, too, is swept up in the tragic events that change Clive's life forever. So before we jump into Jill, let's talk about that. We'll hit a little bit of what we think, or what we know and what we think we know. So if you watch that first trailer, you see, and it's funny because the first time I watched trailer, I wasn't really paying too much attention to the difference between the Aeons going back and forth, because I was a little confused by it at first, because they were talking about, this is crazy, another icon of fire. So I didn't know if I was late getting into 14, so the whole aspect of a dominant is new to me as well. So late getting into 14, that wasn't something I was used to. For me, I'm so used to 7 and stuff like that. You're summoning these monsters. You're not becoming these monsters. You're summoning these monsters, right? So, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that whenever I watched that trailer the first time, I thought Joshua was Ifrit because there's a scene where you see Ifrit's tearing into something, but you can't see what he's tearing into. He's just fucking something up. You see blood splattering all over the place, and you hear someone scream, "Joshua, please wake up." In my mind, I thought maybe he went into a blind rage and wasn't able to control it, and that's what they were talking about. To where now, where I'm sitting, I obviously think that the person who is the actual dominant of the Ifrit icon is killing Joshua. And that's them screaming at Joshua to please wake up, who is still in the body of the Phoenix at that point. And that's what I think is going to set Clive on this whole route to revenge. And because it looks like he becomes, I mean, that group he's with, they're targeting dominance. I mean, they say it in the very beginning, you know, our target is the dominant and only the dominant. Which is crazy because they talk about specifically they're there to capture the dominant Shiva. Or the dominant of Shiva. I have a suspicion that Jill Warwick, who is the other main character that's been announced, where she's like an adopted sister, if you will, in basically to keep peace between these two, you know, nations or whatever, or spots on the map, that she was adopted into the House of Rosaria and is an adopted sister of the two boys. So I think she is Shiva as she gets older. So then that would be even more interesting if he's after her and she's the dominant and he's part of this mercenary group that's, you know, basically like we're here to fucking take out dominance. So that would be very interesting to see that play out too. But anyways, but yeah, so he looks like he's just this kind of like this icon hunter, and obviously his main goal is to find out who, you know, who controls Ifrit, who is Ifrit's dominant, and kill him, take him out to avenge Joshua. Sorry, excuse me. It's really late here. But anyways, that being said, yeah, it's just, I'm super excited for it, but we'll go ahead and talk about Jill a little bit here. So Jill Warwick, born in the fallen Northern Territories, Jill was taken from her homeland at a tender age to become a ward of Rosaria, securing peace between the two warring nations. The Archduke insisted that she be raised alongside his sons, and now at 12 years of age, she is just as much part of the Rosefield household as Clive and Joshua. Ever kind, gracious, and unassuming, Jill has become a trusted confidant to the brothers. Which, by the way, that's such a weird thing to think of. Like, that used to be a thing. Like, fucking, you're not gonna be part of that anymore. Part of that family anymore. So yeah, the reason why we're doing this right now, though, and I'll read this. This was a note from Yoshi P here, was as I talked about, I think last time I was talking about Final Fantasy 16 news, I'd brought up the fact that 2021 was supposed to be a year of Final Fantasy, and we didn't get told anything until the very end of the December that, you know, that wasn't going to be it. So basically the big notice that we got was, greetings everyone. When we last spoke, I promised I would have information on Final Fantasy 16 sometime later in 2021. However, I regret to inform you that I will be unable to keep that promise as complications stemming from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic have delayed the game's development by almost a half year. As the latest edition of the Final Fantasy series being developed for PlayStation 5, Final Fantasy 16 has amassed a sizable team composed of talented creators from around the world. However, in their effort to offset the effects of COVID-19, we've had to decentralize the workforce by permitting staff to tackle their assignments from home. This has unfortunately hampered communication from the Tokyo office, which in turn has led to delays in, or in extreme cases, cancellations of asset deliveries from our outsourced partners. That said, we have spent much of 2021 addressing this issue and hope to see its impact to a minimal by the new year, allowing us to better focus on the task at hand and create increasing graphic resource quality, refining combat mechanics, fleshing out individual battles, putting the finishing touches on the cutscenes, and conducting overall graphical optimization. Our primary goal now is to be as hands-on with the game as possible in order to see it fully polished. So this leaves us with the question, when can we expect the next round of information? Well, I'm happy to announce that the current plan is to conduct our next big reveal in spring of 2022, which once again, like I said, ends June 21st for them. as we seek to build excitement leading up to the game's eventual release. I deeply apologize for those who have been looking forward to learning more about Final Fantasy 16, and thank you for your continued patience while we focus our combined efforts on development. Now, good gosh, I just can't stop yawning. I'm sorry, guys. Now, that being said, that was what we got in 2021, which was very unfortunate. It was right at the end of December. Since then, we have seen Yoshi P doing an interview where he says that the trailer is completely done. That's going to be coming out soon. He doesn't want there to be too much time between the trailer and the game release, which is awesome. So, realistically, I could see 16 releasing holiday season of 2022. I personally feel more realistically it would be around this same stretch of time to this June 21st release of next year, because that's the end of their quarter and all that fun stuff. So I could see that as well. We'll have to wait and see. But there's a lot of signs that are pointing to it could be this year, which, once again, if it is, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Obviously, as most of you know, I mean, it's the whole reason I bought a PlayStation 5 was for that and Final Fantasy 7 Remake. So, but anyways, moving back to talking about stuff that we know. What else do we got? Let's see. I don't know. We might have actually covered all of it, guys. We might have actually covered all of it. I mean, I knew this was going to be a little bit of a shorter video. I mean, there's not too much to go. Because, like, I go deep in the weeds, and we could talk about like all the different people who were helping design the game and making the game, blah 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 blah, what they used to do. I don't know if a lot of you like that kind of stuff. If that's something that you want, I mean, I guess it's a comment you can leave, and then I'll know like moving forward that that's like stuff that I can get into. But I feel like where our viewer base is at, you guys are a lot more into just like the story and kind of what we are excited for. And if that's true, then great. That's hopefully this is what I am, kind of giving over to you guys right now. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm super excited for this game. I think it's going to be great. That's where we're at now. Obviously, when the trailer comes out, I'm going to record something about it, whether it's me watching it, whether it's me talking about it, the trailer's behind me, whether it's just me just talking about it on a podcast. Some form of recording is going to happen with me and the trailer. That's going to happen. And this trailer, we should get a release date. Ugh, excuse me. Good Lord. Oh, we should get a release date with this trailer. So, there should be no more up in the air. We don't know what's going on. We should have a hard release date, which would be great. And, really kind of get off on the right foot. Another thing to point out is like this is the first time in like a decade that a Final Fantasy game has just been done. Like the development is just done. Like they're going back and polishing things now, but it's like the development is just done. Like normally there's some kind of developmental hell or change of directors or staffing issues. Like there's always something. This is the first time we're just like, it's done. So that's kind of interesting. I'm really excited to see what Yoshi P is going to do, man. I'm really excited. I can't wait to see this game come out. I think it's going to be fucking phenomenal. Oh, man. And it's one of those things where it's like, I talk about, maybe there might be some recording I do on it, maybe some streaming, but I don't know. I think I'm just going to fall off the face of the map and play this game for like a solid week and then crawl out from some dark crevice somewhere to record a podcast and talk about it. But, obviously there will be review shows and verdicts and all that fun stuff. But for those of you who watch a lot of our content and watch pretty much almost everything that you can in order to support us, I do strongly appreciate that. If you are a gamer and you've heard me talk about Final Fantasy, you've heard JoJo talk about Final Fantasy, even at this point you've heard Kelsey talk about Final Fantasy. If you have not played a Final Fantasy game, this is a good one to try. This is really a good one to try. And the reason why I say that is because it is the new age gaming. It is the hack and slash. We're going back to our roots for Final Fantasy, and it's going to be done in a really, really great way. And I can't think of a better video game director that's kind of like had to go through so many hoops to like save games and stuff like that than Yoshi P for like a great first experience of the series. Something I hear a lot is like, I don't want to get into Final Fantasy because, I've never played all the other ones. Once again, they do not connect. can play whatever Final Fantasy you want to. They do not connect. The only ones that connect is whenever it's like a split off. Like, for instance, there was Final Fantasy 4, and then there was Final Fantasy the After Years. That is right after 4. Or Final Fantasy 7, you've got Dirge Cerberus, you got Advent Children, you got Crisis Core, you got Before Crisis. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on there. That's all within that, but it normally says, like, Final Fantasy 7 Crisis Core. Like, you know it's part of 7's story, right? 16, you can just jump in and play. I definitely think this would be a great one for a lot of people. I know I got some friends who aren't Final Fantasy fans. Definitely going to try to talk them into getting this one. The only hard part right now is who has a PlayStation 5. A lot of people don't. I mean, take Kelsey. That's another great example. She doesn't play Final Fantasy, but she fucking bought the remake, played it, and loved the shit out of it. I mean, it's a great series. Final Fantasy is a great series. So if you're looking for a new game to be excited about coming out, Final Fantasy 16, jump on the bandwagon. There's plenty of room. We are all excited. But I think that's going to go ahead and do it here. If there's anything I didn't cover and you wanted me to cover, make sure you throw in the comments below. Sorry if this was, feels like the video was a little rushed. I'm not going to lie, it was. YouTube kind of hit us out of nowhere with you're not going to release this video that you wanted to release. So then had to switch stuff up, and I didn't have all the time I wanted to have done this because obviously it's Final Fantasy. I'm going to pull out all the bells and whistles for that. But hey, it gave me a chance to sit here and kind of get my talk and my thoughts out. And once again, this is content that you guys have asked for, especially the Final Fantasy fans here, for me to kind of dive a little bit more into some more Final Fantasy content in different ways. And this is kind of a different way to do that. So, yeah, I'm super excited about this game. I think it's going to be great. Like I said, Yoshi P has literally pulled Final Fantasy 14 from the bottom of the dumpster and brought it up onto the shelf, cleaned and polished it. Now it's one of the most played games out there. Like, the dude's got talent. So I'm not worried about this game as far as story and all that goes. I think it's going to be great. So we'll have to just wait and see what happens. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you turn on those notifications. That way you get notified whenever I do watch that trailer, so you can hear my thoughts on it. Also, whenever the game comes out, I can tell you what I thought about the game. That being said, sharing our content is the biggest way to help us out. Obviously we have subscriber goals and we keep, moving up as subscribers, which is great. And that's a lot because you guys are sharing our content. Sharing our content is the biggest way to help us out. Another way to help us out is our merch link. A lot of you went over there and bought some shirts. That was awesome. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate everybody that has. If you want to support us that way, it's a great way to support us as well. Because once again, this is a hobby for the majority of us, but we would like to do this as, a full-time job. Would be great to be, an online entertainer. We'd like to be able to dive into a lot more things and stuff that we can do. But, all of us have to have our real-time jobs on top of this and then everything else going on in life. So, I'm a dad, so I got that as well. But that being said, like I said, the biggest way to support us is by sharing our content. Share. Somebody that likes podcasts, hey, check this out, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, throw it in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts about Final Fantasy 16. Are you a Final Fantasy fan? If you're not, and you're looking on, maybe 16 isn't where you want to go, mainly because you don't want to invest in a PlayStation 5 or something like that, and you're interested in jumping into Final Fantasy series, ask me, a recommendation. I'll get back to you with, kind of like what stuff you're into. A lot of people think that I would go straight to 7, but that's not exactly true. I look at my daughter, and as she's growing up thinking about, the first Final Fantasy game I want her to play. At some point, I'd love for her to play 7 if she even likes playing video games. But I don't think I'd start her at 7. It just depends on stuff that people are into. 6 is a very great game. 3 is a very great game. There's a lot of them out there that are really good. 9 is another one. 10, 12. There's a lot of really good ones out there to start people on. So if you're trying to jump into Final Fantasy and you don't know where to start, let me know. More than happy to help out. We had somebody on the channel already. I can't remember what video it was, but said that because of all the stuff that I talked about with Final Fantasy 7 made them play Final Fantasy 7 for the first time, and they loved it. That made my fucking day. That was great. I'm glad that I could do that for you. If you're still watching the content to this day, I still think about that comment. So once again, appreciate that. So feel free to hit me up down there below. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next time.